Welcome to season 5 of our Golden 20s podcast.
Yay!
Yeah, which
so
is
exciting.
crazy.
It is crazy.
So this will be our 5th year recording the pod, and we're very excited. Just like at the start of every season, we do like a little reflection on what do we want the next season to look like and what topics do we want to cover. And we know, like, obviously we see all the stats on which episodes you all love to hear. So we really like go back to the data and take a look. So we've got some really cool stuff planned for this season that we're super excited about.
Yeah. And I feel like some podcasts don't do one season per year. Like they'll do like a season is a couple months and then they take a break. Then they come back season 2, a couple months, all within the same year. Where I feel like what people maybe don't realize for our podcast is we have 52 episodes per season. That's one a week. And this is, not just our 5th season, but our 5th year, which is crazy. We've spent the whole second half of our 20s talking about life with you guys, reflecting, navigating career changes, moving changes, relationship changes. Like Tegan's gotten married in the time that we've been recording this podcast. So it's like, in a way, we've become like totally different people than when we started this episode, which is really cool. And we're both getting ready to take on our 30s this year, which is so exciting, or like start our 30s. So it's just going to be so fun to see the podcast like grow and evolve as we now take that like big sister energy for people who are still in their 20s as we transition to our 30s. I don't know. I'm probably like overhyping and overthinking it, but I'm like, it's just so special too. Think how long we've been doing this and how we're still so excited to have a whole new season coming your guys' way.
Well, I was gonna say, like, should we address the elephant in the room, which is something I get asked about all the time, is what are you gonna do with the podcast when you turn 30? If you've been listening, you know we're both turning 30 this year. I'm just gonna keep doing it. Like,
and you guys
never that deep.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm
Sorry,
like,
I get very passionate about this.
Me too, because it's always men who ask me, where I'm like, first off, why are you even speaking to me? You're a dude and I don't care. Second, I'm like, what? It's just the name. Who cares? And then third, like, we started it with the intention of talking about our 20s in the 2020s, where I'm like, we're still in the 2020s. We've got years of that to come. So like that part still applies. And also it's probably better to be getting advice from people who have lived past their
been
20s.
Through it. Yeah, exactly.
So we'll still be here. We'll still be our golden 20s. We'll still be talking about your 20s, our 20s, even if we're turning 30. So
and not that much is different. One day you're 29, the next day you're 30. Not that much is going to change. It's not that deep, guys.
Exactly. It's kind of the same as marriage, where it's like, did things change when you got married? It's like, not really. Like the major thing for me was my name changed, and that was just like a choice I did, where literally anyone could just choose to change their name at any time. If I didn't do that, nothing would have changed. So I don't know. It'll be, I'm excited for my 30s, but I feel like we'll still just be here. Same old as
chatting away.
Same shit.
100%.
Different year.
Yes. I think before we get into some of our like get to know us type things, including a connection card, as we always do, maybe we could just chat through some of the other things that maybe are kind of changing for this season, as well as what to expect. I think the one big and probably only change that we have coming for season 5 is we're changing to bi-weekly episodes, which means instead of dropping an episode every week, we will be here every other week. And part of that is just because we started this podcast in the peak of the pandemic, where we had literally nothing else going on. We needed this, like, connection, and we know our listeners needed this connection, just as a way to like socialize and stay sane. We're now, Tegan and I are both back living very busy lives, and we just think, at least I was one who suggested this will make it a little bit more manageable to keep putting out like quality content for you guys while we manage our social lives and our work lives and everything else we have going on. So I think that's really the biggest change to know. I'll say see you every other Tuesday instead of see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday at the end of every episode. But that's one thing I did want to address right off the hop while we have everyone's full attention. Yeah,
I'm excited. I feel like when we made the decision to be like a weekly podcast episode, it was just like, this is what podcasts do, I think.
Right.
And one thing, like when we started the podcast, was the main thing was we wanted to be consistent, because we thought that that would be like a key to growing the audience. And here we are, like 4 years later, we've grown an audience, and I don't really think, like to your point, that we need to be weekly. And like in talking to my husband about this, he's a podcaster and he drops a podcast like monthly. And he was saying like the people who are weekly podcasters, they're doing that because that is their livelihood.
Right.
They're not doing it as a hobby. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah. So definitely just like our intentions, I think, are still the same. It's just, like you said, our lives changed. And, 4 years later, reflecting on it, do we need to have a weekly podcast? I don't think so. I'm also just interested, to see, like you said, will this improve our content? Will this improve our numbers? Like, are we going to be more available on social media? Like, I feel like there's lots of great opportunities that come with this. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And I think the whole quality of content, that's another thing where coming up with 52 episodes in a year is a lot. Making them all different from each other is very hard, where this is maybe, again, me overthinking things, but I feel like sometimes we fall into giving you guys the same advice and like addressing the same topics. We try to make it different, come at it from different angles, but hopefully by cutting essentially our episodes in half, like at a yearly, I guess even monthly scale, hopefully we can actually bring you guys new stuff, fresh perspectives, cover topics we haven't covered before, and just, I don't know, keep things fresh, even if there is technically less content at the end of the day. That said, like Tegan said earlier, we know what you guys love to hear about. Our travel episodes are amongst our top 5, definitely top 10 episodes. So especially now that we are back traveling more out of the pandemic kind of thing, other side of the pandemic, let's keep that content coming your guys' way. Tegan and I actually have a trip to Hawaii coming up this year. So you can expect our whole Hawaii trip recap the same way we did our New York trip recap last year. But we'll also share other content around travel as well. We know you guys love self-care content, if that's focused on routines or, I don't know, just like how to be your best self. If it's leading into cozy hobbies, to like practice intentional self-care, like you guys seem to really love that. So we will keep that coming your way. Same with relationships, career-oriented episodes, all about work. I feel like that will be very topical for us still in this new season. And lastly, our other episodes that top the charts are just general life hacks and advice for your 20s. So we'll also find ways to have a fresh spin on that. All of this being said, you can expect all of that and more from this coming season. If you have a special request, please, please, please send it our way, because like I said, it's been 4 years. We're running out of ideas. We need your help. Tell us what you want. We will deliver. And yeah,
definitely. We also have a Patreon page, which we should mention. So if you have been a listener for all these 4 years and are going to hopefully continue supporting us, definitely check out our Patreon. It's linked in the show notes, because one, this is the best way to show your support for the podcast in a money fashion. But we also drop all of the episodes there early, usually like 3 days early, and they're ad free. Which obviously one big change in the last year is we started having ads like inserted into the podcast. So If that is really annoying to you, consider subscribing. You can subscribe for as little as $2 a month and you get those episodes early. And like I said, completely ad free. And it's like a link to our YouTube channel that isn't public. So it's like just as easy to listen to as regular episodes, but something definitely to consider. And then we have a lot of bonus content there as well. So we have a lot of actually like bonus episodes, some that are like more structured, us talking about topics, some that are just like us like just talking about our lives and like talking about books and talking about like dates and talking about our work. And so that's also something, if you're kind of interested in hearing more about us personally, we were calling them like unplugged, because we could be a little more unscripted, knowing that like my boss probably isn't going to pay $10 Canadian to hear me talk about work. But if that's something interesting to you, those are all up there as well. We've got like playlists, we've got sort of blog post style content. So a whole bunch of stuff up there. So definitely check that out as well.
Yeah. I feel the bonus episodes is something at the start of every season we start super strong with. And then we teeter off, then it'll come back. But maybe with bi-weekly episodes, we'll have more bonus content on Patreon. I feel that would be a good goal as well.
Definitely.
And then, of course, Patreon is a great way to connect with us. But if you're not wanting to subscribe to Patreon, you can just follow us on social media. We're everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. We have Pinterest, boards. What else? I feel like those are the main ones, but you can always, YouTube. You can always leave us a comment or send us a DM. Again, this could be sending in a request of what you want us to talk about. It could be sending in a situation you're dealing with and you want advice on, or it could just be saying, hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm listening to you from wherever you live, because I feel like that's another really cool thing about the podcast is we know you guys are all over the world, and it's just so exciting to hear from you and connect with you. So please follow us on social, send us a message, because we don't want to just talk at you guys week after week. We would love to hear from you as well.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah. Last reminder before we jump into the connection card is also to rate and review the podcast, because I think this also really helps us. It helps us grow the show, helps other people find it, but also just is another great way to give us feedback, tell us what you're thinking. So if you're listening on Spotify, you can actually use Spotify comments to leave a comment or just like interact with us directly in the Spotify app. But you could also leave a rating and a review, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. So that's the last thing I wanted to plug, in addition to Patreon, social media. Rate and review, especially if you've been listening to us for a long time and you haven't done that yet. Please do.
Yes. Perfect. I feel like that's all our
That's the housekeeping.
spiel. Yeah, exactly. All the intentions for season 5, but I think it'll be good vibes. I think the other thing that's changing is we have a new connection card deck that we're going to use for this season. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. Me too. So Intelligent Change is a partner we love working with. We have a discount code for their products in our show notes. I believe it's 10 or 15% off. But Intelligent Change is like founder of the 5-Minute Journal. They also have, what was the journal you just used in Love, Tegan?
The Life Designer Journal.
Yeah. And you were saying how
it literally changed my life.
Yeah. And so great.
Like, yeah, I will say they don't pay us to talk about them, but they send us their products for free to review in hopes that we'll like them and talk about them. So you can trust I actually liked it, or else I wouldn't mention it. We've been sent journals from other companies that you haven't heard about.
But don't make the cut.
Yeah. So yeah, wanted to say that we're not getting paid to talk about them, but we do make money if you shop our affiliate link. So again, if you want to support us and you're maybe interested in trying one of their guided journals, or you like the connection cards we use, that's another great way to support the podcast is using the links in our show notes, because we usually get like a percentage kickback.
Yeah, totally. So one of the newer products to me anyway of theirs is their connection cards. So the one we have is called Get Closer, and this one's just about like general generic relationships. However, they have one specific to like romantic relationships. I saw they even have a deck that is specific to like building working relationships. So like I manage a team now, so it would be all good team bonding questions. But anyways, today we are going to crack open our Get Closer deck. If you're watching on video, I already shared it. But there's 3, so similar to the last deck we used, there's a few different categories. The first category is close, then there's closer and closest. We'll start every week with a connection card, or every episode with a connection card like we usually do. Today, though, since this is a bit of a get to know us episode to kick off season 5, we're going to do one question from each category. So one close, one closer, and one closest. Are you ready, Tag?
Yes, I am.
Okay. This is the most wholesome way to start this. What is something that has made you happy lately?
Oh, that is wholesome. I will say I just got Onyx Storm, the new book in the Fourth Wing series. And the day it came out, I booked the day off work and just had like a little cozy day on the couch. And yeah, it made me really happy. I also got this mug that says all the best books have DILFs, dragons I'd like to fuck. And this mug just makes me so happy, where I am filled with joy. And I'm not even like, I know people are like into the dragons. I literally don't even care about the dragons that much. But this mug, I love so much. So that made me very happy.
I love that answer. That was the best. So Tegan and I went to midnight release the day it came out. We both took the day off work on Tuesday, and that was probably the best idea we've ever had. Like, that was just such a wholesome, cute night. And yeah, I also had the best day just reading on the couch. That was so good. I think my answer, just to be different, I'm going to go with, you guys know I've been really leaning into my video game era. And I guess it was now 2 weeks ago, my sister and I played Animal Crossing together. And that was my first time like playing video games with someone else online. So we just hopped on a call. She came to my island. I showed her all around. I went to her island. She showed me all around. And it was just so wholesome and just made me so happy. And I don't know, it was so cute, where I was like, this is the Friday night energy I need, being cozy at home. I had just cleaned my apartment. Like, it was just so great. So that made me really happy.
I love that. We've got to play a game together. I am trying to get Sadie to play Overwatch, if anyone listening plays, because I have a whole group of friends and there's now 4 of us. You need 5 to be a full team. So I'm like, Sadie, we could be a full team.
Okay. I'll need to, the thing is, I'm like just reconnecting with my gamer girl side. So I'm like, and I hate being new at things, and I hate being bad at things. So I'm like, if there's a chance that I play and I just embarrass myself, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But it's also, I need to embrace new experiences. So yeah.
I am also bad. The good news is the people I play with are really good. So they just drag me across the finish line, which is good. But yeah, it's definitely fun. Good way to spend these winter months for sure.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, ready for the closer category?
Yes.
Okay, this question says, who is someone that you trust?
I feel like I trust you, Sadie.
Yay! Thanks, Tag. I definitely trust you as well. I feel Tegan's, like, you need to have that friend who you'd call to hide the body kind of thing. Tag, I feel like you're that friend for me, as well as my other best friend, Gabby, where I'm like, you two are the ones I would call in a crisis and call to help me hide the body. You guys wouldn't ask questions, you just do it. And then afterwards you'd be like, okay, so what the hell just happened? Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Next question.
Sure. Closest.
So the third and final connection card for today says, how do you wish to be remembered? Pretty deep.
Yeah. I'm like getting into like Hamilton the musical vibes, because that's like his whole thing. I mean,
That's not a bad thing.
I don't know. It was kind of his downfall.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess I want to be remembered as like kind, like someone that, like you're saying, anyone could call or come to. Or like I want to be thought of as like, oh, I could just like show up at her doorstep and know that she would help me. That vibe.
Yeah, I love that. I think my answer, the word that's coming to mind for me is empowerment, where I feel like I want to be remembered as someone who empowers people to be their best self, live their best lives.
Yeah.
And I feel like part of that is like me living my best life and being my best self as well, where that I feel like empowers other people. But I feel like we're going to get into our green flags, so we'll chat about this more in a minute. But I feel like my friends come to me when they need a pep talk, and I love giving those pep talks, and I feel like I just try to empower them to make the best decision for themselves. So I feel like that's how I want to be remembered.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like you will be, hopefully, remembered in that way.
This podcast is kind of, podcast is kind of a step in that direction. So I hope so.
Yeah. Great.
Love it.
Shall we dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So as Sadie mentioned, we are going to be talking about our green flags, our red flags, and our beige flags, just so you can all get to know us a bit if you are new listeners and all of that jazz. So the idea behind this is, I feel like its background is in dating, but I remember hearing a lot about like red flags, where on a first date, if he says this or does this, that's a red flag. So it's basically like toxic traits. And then people started bringing up green flags of, you know, if he talks about his family or if he wants to do this, those are green flags. So positive traits. And now there is also beige flags, where it's like, I don't know if this is good. I don't know if it's bad, but it's definitely like something to keep an eye on kind of vibe.
A fun little quirk to your personality, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to share what our perception of our own green flags are, not necessarily what we're looking for in other people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Should I kick us off?
Sure.
Okay. I feel like I was just talking about empowerment and all of that. So I feel like it kind of ties into two, maybe all three of my green flags. So I feel like my first green flag is that I have good self-awareness, and I feel like that translates into having empathy for other people, because I'm like, oh, I bet they're probably feeling this way, and how would I feel if I was in that position? And I just feel like that's something that has taken a lot of work, but I'm like very proud of. And I feel like that's why I can be a good friend and a good daughter or sister, you know, whatever role I'm playing in my life that day. I feel like I can just show up because I'm very aware of my own emotions and like self-awareness. But I also feel like part of that is I can identify my own emotions, why I'm feeling a certain way. And that also means I can often tell when I'm projecting like my own insecurities on other people, which I feel like is something it takes people a long time to learn. Again, I feel like I've been very diligent on my self-awareness journey throughout my entire 20s to kind of get to this point. But I feel like it's something people would benefit from. Yeah. And I feel like that's why it would be one of my green flags. So it doesn't mean that I don't project my shit onto other people, because I definitely do. I can think of an example. I've been like super honest with you guys about my insecurities around being single. And last year, 2 of my favorite YouTubers got boyfriends. And I was like, I'm not going to watch their videos anymore. Like, just don't relate to it anymore. I knew they were going to say that, like, you know, they made things official with their respective boyfriends. These are 2 completely different YouTubers. I was like, nope, done. And then I was like, okay, but I have the self-awareness to know I'm not actually mad at these girls. These girls, you know what I mean? Like, I can kind of identify why I'm feeling a certain way, and then have a good, like, give myself a pep talk to, I don't know, address it accordingly. So I definitely still have a range of emotions. I still have mood swings and project my shit, but at least I'm aware of it, And I feel like because of that, I can like rectify the situation a little quicker than other people.
Yeah, definitely. There's nothing worse than someone who's clearly projecting, especially in the workplace. That drives me crazy. So I'm glad you're not like that.
Yeah. And it's literally like anytime you see somebody who's projecting, at least the question I ask myself is like, do they not have any self-awareness?
Yeah.
Like, do they not hear themselves? Where when I say crazy shit, I hear myself and I'm like, yeah, but you know what? That's just how I'm feeling today.
Yeah.
I own it, but I'm aware, you know?
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe go tag before I just keep rambling on? Bounce back and forth.
I think like mine's kind of related to the last connection card as well, but I feel like I'm somewhat non-judgmental, or at least I try to be, where I don't know, like I still have like thoughts and feelings and opinions about what people do, but at the end of the day, I kind of like just don't care, I guess, what people are doing. So yeah, I've had a lot of friends come to me with lots of different stuff. Things, I don't know, like deep questions about their life path, about like very important decisions they have to make, or people coming to me with like a lot of, I don't know, just like past stuff they want to get off their chest. And I feel like these people are coming to me because they know I would be non-judgmental about it. Where, yeah, I don't often think like what my like ideas are better than other people's or things like that, outside of like, I'm not racist, so I think I'm better than people who are racist and things like that. But when it comes to like complex moral situations, I'm usually pretty, I don't know, try to be chill about that.
Manhã, música. Ah, que isso? Abre a sacada. É seu ex-marido segurando um buquê de flores junto com um carro de som tocando um sucesso romântico dos anos 60. Foge pelos fundos, corre. Pronto. Ele nunca vai imaginar que...
Sabia que você estaria aqui, meu amor.
Corre, hotel, tocaia na janela. Silêncio. Ufa, acho que despistei. É isso. Hora de dar aquela merecida relaxada. SBP. Amar é proteger. Até o seu descanso.
Yeah, I love that. Another reason you're my call when I need to bury a body. Because you'd just be like, okay, yeah, let's do it. No big deal. Yeah. You just are unfazed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good stuff. That's one of my favorite traits about you, Tag. I agree. Definitely
Thanks.
green flag. Okay, next one for me is kind of related to like the empathy thing I started touching on. And that is that I'm a good listener and I'm solution oriented. And this now sounds like a job interview, but I do feel like these are two traits that I practice in like my personal relationships, but also what make me, if I do say so myself, a good manager at work to manage a team. I feel like I do a good job making people feel heard and validated. And again, this is just my friends coming to me, like you were kind of saying, Tag, with like wanting a life chat or needing advice, or I just feel like I'm that person people come to because they know I'm going to listen. And I also think the whole solution oriented, like I also feel like I give fairly good advice, hence why we've had this podcast for 4 years, is I love to give advice. And I feel like usually my advice can be fairly objective, where I can set like my own thoughts and opinions aside and like try to get in the shoes of whoever I'm giving advice to. And then kind of similar to that, I also feel like I'm good at compromising to make everyone happy. And that's something you need to do in a family of 5, which is funny because I'm definitely not like the mediator in my family. If anything, I'm like the shit disturber. But as I've gotten older and again, taken on like a leadership role at work, I feel like it's easier for me to be like, okay, I can see what I want out of this situation. I can see what my friend or my team member at work needs out of this situation. What's a way we can both get what we want that makes logical sense? So I feel like that kind of falls into the whole solution-oriented thing. But in my personal life, I feel like I also have really deep friendships, really no surface-level friendships because of this as well.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's another like major trait. Once, like, if anyone gets to know Sadie, that'll be definitely on the forefront. I think for me, I am quite organized. This is something that like comes out a lot in my work, where I'm like given random tasks just because like I'm good at being organized. And I always just assumed everyone was, but turns out that's not true. So I can, keep my inbox at 0, and I have my calendar always up to date and things like that. So I think that generally is a good trait. Like, I'm always on time. I never miss meetings, or I'm late for meetings or things like that. I think another green flag for me is that I always try to see the best in people, and I try to be empathetic and see things from their perspectives. Even if I'm in an argument with someone, in the moment, I can be just heated, but almost immediately I'll be like, well, I understand that they were saying this because they were feeling this, and I can see from their perspective this, which again, it's just this is the way my brain works. I assumed that everyone was working that way. And then it's once I started dating and, meeting more adults and stuff, being okay, no, not everyone is leaving an argument. Yeah. And thinking about, I don't know, the side that the person arguing with you was coming from and that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Love it. My last green flag is that I'm a laugher. I love to laugh. I'm fairly goofy. I'm always joking around. And I feel like why I have this as my green flag is because maybe, I don't know if it's a red flag or what flag it is, but I'm actually quite intense and emotional. Again, I feel like this ties into the whole life chats and that kind of self-awareness, everything I just talked about. It translates to be very intense sometimes, and I'm just a Scorpio, so it's in my nature to be intense and emotional. But I feel like it's good to also that I'm goofy to balance it all out. But I feel like I have vivid memories of when I first moved to Toronto. I was starting my life in a new city with all new people, just moved into my dorm room at college. And I remember multiple people saying to me, I love being around you because I feel like I can just be myself. Mm-hmm. And that really stuck out to me because we're in this phase of life where we're we don't even know who we are because we're in this process of starting a whole new chapter of our lives. We can be anybody we want to be. And you're also trying to fit in because you don't know people. You're trying to make friends. You're trying to be just not weird because, you don't want to be labeled as the weird girl for the next 3 to 4 years of your school career. I don't know. It just really stood out to me that people were I just feel like I can be myself around you. And I'm I take that as a compliment. And I think it's just because as much as I'm intense and goofy, I also try not to take life too seriously. Even at work, actually, I just joined this huge ass corporation. And I'm people don't smile in meetings. This is weird. I join meetings, I'm cracking jokes. If something's awkward, I am addressing that it's awkward and laughing it off. It just makes life more enjoyable, and I like it. And it feels like other people like that about me too. Yeah. Even on this podcast, I'm let's get giggly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. You're a very satisfying person to make laugh because you laugh so hard. So it is.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it.
That's so funny you say that because I make fun of my sister, who's my best friend. I tell everything to. Her way of laughing, she always throws her head back. She doesn't even need to be laughing that hard, but she throws her head back where I'm I love telling you something that's going to make you laugh because even if she's not laughing that hard, just her body movements, it's she thinks it's the funniest thing she's ever heard. And it's that's so satisfying.
Yeah, definitely. I think my last 2 green flags I wanted to mention is one, I enjoy exploring. I enjoy trying new things, even if it's just for a story. Where if I don't have something coming up that's a new thing, I'll be okay, how can I add something? So yeah, I tried aerial yoga because I was just there's a studio near my house that does it. I'm just gonna have to go do it to see what it's like. And I wanted to try reformer Pilates this month, and then I went and did it, and I was okay, well, I did that too fast, so now I want to do this other type of class and all these sorts of things. And I am scared in the lead up to it, and I'm always I need to be ready in my outfit or whatever an hour before and just be pumping myself up. But I will usually always have something new and exciting on the horizon. And I think my last green flag is if I'm invited to something, 99% of the time I will show up. And this is like birthday parties or graduations or like your open mic night or anything. If I'm invited, unless I have a previous commitment, I will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 1000% approve both of those things.
Thanks.
I feel like that's definitely a way you'll be remembered is you always show up. I think
Yeah.
that's such a special trait to have in a friend and definitely a green flag.
Thanks.
Great. Well, let's even this out.
Let's get
and now
toxic.
share our red flags. Yeah.
Yeah.
The shit that makes us toxic as hell.
Yeah.
Do you want to start, Tig?
Sure. My first red flag is I can't eat leftovers. And
I don't think I knew this about you.
yeah, and I don't know why. Like, we weren't a big leftover family growing up, so that's probably why. But they just, like, low-key disgust me. And this is, I'm like, I am aware that this is just, like, extreme privilege on display right now, where I'm like, the food's gone in the fridge, gross, put it in the garbage. But I try. Everyone's like, leftover pizza's better. Leftover Chinese food's better. I will heat it up. I will have 2 bites and be like, nope, this is so gross to me. And I have to throw it away. So yeah, as soon as I moved in with my like husband, life was good because he could eat all my leftovers and I wouldn't have to feel bad about like, okay, I'm throwing out this food that I know is good. But I'm a very big like texture person, like, and smell person. Like, I can't eat any red meat because it smells rotten to me. And yeah, so it's a lot of that where I'm like, it smells weird. It feels weird in my mouth. I can't do it.
Have you tried, this is me being my solution-oriented mediator here. Have you tried warming things up in the oven / air fryer / on the stove instead of in the microwave?
Yes.
Because I do feel like that helps preserve the
can be
texture.
gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have tried. I've tried it all, but I just, I can't figure it out. So every once in a while, like chicken fried rice, I can maybe do if it's been in the fridge only overnight. But anything besides that, probably not.
And you can't eat things cold. Like you couldn't eat cold pizza?
No. I think it's just like I'm not a foodie at all. Where like I've said this before, if I could choose to just like take a pill and I would feel full and then wouldn't have to eat, I would do that. And so like the slightest thing to make food unappetizing, I'm like, I'd rather just not eat.
Tapping out. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Interesting. Wow. I'm learning about you as well as the listeners. Love that.
Red flag. I'm like, if I was dating and I was like slept over at a guy's house and he was like, oh, I have leftover pizza. And I was like, I don't eat leftovers.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, good God.
Get it. That's funny. This inspired one of my red flags. I'm a big leftover person. Again, my family was leftover people. I like to cook at home, and considering I'm cooking meals for one person, like it makes sense that I'm eating the same thing, but leftovers multiple times a week. In any case, my red flag is that I will wait for my food in the fridge to go bad before I actually throw it in. So I won't eat it. Like, this is some cases where it's like I made, I don't know, stir fry and it's been in my fridge like all week kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, eat it. But nearing the end of the week, I'm not going to throw it out because it's still good, but I'm not going to eat it because it's on the verge of going bad. So I just leave it in the fridge until it like literally grows mold. To be like, okay, now I can throw it out because it's bad. But it's like, okay, but it probably was fine to just eat, you know, like I feel like I'm making progress on this where I'm cutting back how much I make because it's just knowing I have this tendency to do this. It just makes sense to not make as much food and have leftovers for so many days. But still, I also just threw out pizza sauce in the fridge that I had from Christmas Eve. It's like I could have just thrown that out before it started getting moldy, but no, I couldn't do it. I had to wait until there was literal mold on it before I threw it out.
That's
funny. That's red flag.
Yeah. You need the motivation. where you're like,
Yeah,
okay,
guess.
I see mold. This is my motivation. Bye-bye.
And like the justification, because again, it's like, I will think to myself, oh, I should probably throw that out. But I don't unless it's like, no, this has to be thrown out. Like,
yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, sort of similar.
Yeah, I know. I won't lie. I read yours and I was like, okay, wait, I have one that's similar.
Yeah. That's funny. I think my next red flag is I love gossip, where I would just like talk about anyone all day long. Like, I feel like I could sit with like anyone of my family members or Tyrell for like 8 hours. And if we had to entertain ourselves, it would just be like gossiping and like within reason, where I won't ruin a proposal, or like if someone's really sick or something, I won't be like gossiping about that. It's almost like the dumber the gossip, like the pettier it is, the better, where it's like, can you believe this person said this? And then it's like we dissect it for hours. And yeah, again, like none of it's harmful necessarily. No. It's not nice, but it's not, harmful. But I love a gossip. But I come from a family of gossipers where I'm like, when it's me, my mom, my grandma, like when we get together, we're just like checking in, like, what's up with this person? What are they doing? Oh my God, can you believe that? So
yeah, you're never like starting and spreading rumors or like fake news. Like it's literally so
just dissecting, like the last time I saw this person, they said this and then they did that. Like, I don't know.
What's funny, and I feel like people really need to know you to pick up on this vibe, because I was saying how my favorite trait in you and one of your green flags is that you're non-judgmental, but yet you like are gossipy and like shit talkery, but it's not in a malicious way where it's like, I don't know. It's not that you're ever casting judgment. You just love talking shit. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like an entertainment more than anything, where I don't know. It's so strange, but it's very satisfying to me. Like it feels good in the moment for me to be saying all of this, but it's very, and it's not even, I don't know. It's not always mean too. Sometimes it's like I'm talking about someone with someone else and I'll be like defending the person or whatever, but no matter what, I'm talking about other people, which is just so weird, but I love it.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, my next red flag, this one's a quirky one before I get into a deep one. So quirky and annoying, and I hate it about myself. If I'm running late, so say we have like dinner reservations and I'm running late, it's not because I got lost. It's not because I didn't give myself enough time to get there. It's literally because I was taking an outfit photo before I left the house. Like, without question, I'm taking an outfit photo that probably I don't even post anywhere. Sometimes I'll post it on my Instagram story, but I'm just like trying to get this photo for like 10 to literally 30 minutes, where it's like I was ready in time, but I couldn't get the right photo and it took way longer than I thought. And then there always reaches a point where I'm like, girl, just give up. Like, tonight's not the night for photos. You're going to be late. Just give up. But I don't. And I have to like get the photo that I'm not going to post anywhere before I leave the house. And I know it's ridiculous because I'm always ready on time, but I have to get that photo and sometimes it makes me late. It's the worst. Not a good excuse, but that's the truth.
That's a funny one. I'm also like picturing a guy being there witnessing the red flag. And I'm like, he'd think it's a red flag for sure. Yeah. Which is funny.
Think similar to this, sort of, just being late. This even applies for me going to the office. Like, you guys, if you follow me on Instagram or tagging even, like, I hardly ever lately have been posting my my outfits before going to the office.
Yeah.
But I'm not kidding. Every Monday, Tuesday, I'm taking the photos. Don't post them. But I'm, like, arriving to work, like, 10 to 15 minutes late. And my commute is the closest out of everyone I know I work with, like, where they live. I live the closest. I have zero excuse to be late. I'm not leaving the house, but I'm ready on time, but it's just that. And this isn't quite the same because it's not necessarily because I'm taking a photo, but even on my work from home days, I cannot seem to log into my laptop for 9 o'clock. It's always like 9:05, 9:06. And I'm like, girl, you literally have no excuse. You're working from home. Like, I don't know. That one, it's not even the outfit photo, but those Those are the only times I'm late, I swear.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I think my last one is that I am messy in general. I will never be like a clean girl. I've never done a slick back bun in my entire life. I don't know how to do those things. I am good at keeping my space like clean, and I clean before people visit because I think it's respectful. But if it was just me by myself, it would be like destroyed. Like, I'm just messy. I'd be in like 3-day-old pajamas still, unshowered, hair crazy, like dishes piled in the sink, garbage piled. Like, I am just at my core a messy little rat. And I force myself to be clean because I'm like, I know this is what I should do. But like, if there's moments where I'm sick and I can lean into it, I'm just like, hell yeah, here we go, mess everywhere. Yeah. And then I'm like stoked about having my little like rat pile of like, nothing is better than when I'm sick and there's just like a pile of like Kleenex and empty Gatorade bottles and just like shit everywhere. And I'm like, hell yeah, here I am as myself.
We are friends that if we lived together, it would ruin our friendship.
Oh yeah, no, it would be so terrible. I like, because I've seen you like wash a cup after you've used it. I'm like, couldn't be me. I have a dishwasher and I put my dishes in the sink. Like, girl, put them in the dishwasher. That's why you got it. Why are you putting it in the sink? It's just making a bigger mess,
like, I need
literally
mess.
Beside it. But I'm just like, this is where it lives. Yeah. So I'm a messy gal.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. This is maybe a red flag. I didn't include it as a red flag, but I'm almost impossible to live with. No, it's not that I'm impossible to live with. My justification is, maybe this is also a red flag, how I'm able to justify everything, for better or for worse. I worked at Anthropologie for years, and you would spend 2 hours before the store opened and 2 hours after the store closed standardizing it. And standardizing means like you would line up all the hangers so that they were even. You would hug a rack and like shimmy all the hangers even. Then you'd make sure all the shirt collars were lined up at the same spot in every hanger on that rack. You'd make sure your pants were folded a certain way. You would board fold any folded clothes, like shirts and stuff, with a literal plastic board. Like, also, this is the one that applies to my home and the way I live. You would make sure all the labels on the home products were at the exact same angle facing out. So it was like, if it has, it's a candle with a label on it, the label's facing out, and then all the labels are like, you know, lined up if they're stacked on top of each other. So all of this being said, I was trained this way for years. And I now practice that in my house, where I'm like, I would be almost impossible to live with. I've lived with roommates before, and I feel like I never expect them to live this way. But for me, if you look in my fridge, all the English side, since in Canada, all products have like English and French on them, all the English is facing out. Everything's facing forward. It's lined up. And my spice cabinet, it's the same. So I'm opposite of messy. I'm very type A personality in my living space. But anyways, that's probably a red flag that I didn't even include. But that's funny. All this to say, Tegan and I can never live together.
Yeah, definitely not.
My last red flag that I did write down, this one's deep, but we're going to get into the funny, quirky stuff with our beige flags in a minute. The deep red flag is that I'm extremely hyper independent. And I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. I've talked about how this is likely standing in my way of opening myself up to romantic relationships. But one of my biggest fears is having to rely on other people. I fear being codependent on people, and I pride myself on being independent. And that is a red flag because I'm learning very slowly, slower than the average person, that you need other people. You need the support of other people. You need to let people help you. You need to be vulnerable. All of these things that I despise and hate, they're, you know, things for a reason. And like, it's important to have connection and community, things like that. So all this being said, that's why it's my red flag. I refuse to let people help me because I think it's a sign of weakness. And yeah, I just don't ever want to need anybody ever. I won't ask for help. And if you offer to help me, I'll be like, oh my God, like so touched and like so appreciative. but I'll be like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I'm sick. I have the tissues, the Gatorade. I'm like, that's okay. I'll just do it. Like, I'll clean it. I can do it. Yeah. It's actually a bad thing.
Yeah. I feel like I know a lot of people who are like that, though, to be fair. Like, I do feel like that's... I feel like you're probably either one way or the other on the spectrum, where you're like, I don't know, either need a lot of help, or you're the opposite, where you're like, I've got this, don't worry. And it's like, everyone probably needs a little mix of both.
Yeah. My therapist has introduced me to the word interdependent when it comes to relationships, which means you don't need to be independent or codependent. There's a way to be interdependent, where you're two independent people coming together, starting a life together. And I'm like, wow, what a concept. I've never heard that word before.
So funny. Great. Well, shall we get into our beige flags?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. My first one is that I am chronically online, and I forget that not everyone is, where I'm just like always, I'm in the know with like what's going on with like celebrity gossip, with music, with movies. Like I'm on TikTok and everything. And then, I just forget that not everyone speaks in memes, and people leave their house and don't just spend all their time online.
Yeah, I love this because you are definitely the friend where I'm like, I have questions about pop culture trends right now because I'm so out of touch, or like, I haven't scrolled Instagram today and now all of a sudden I'm catching up. What the heck's this about? Like, you're the go-to person for my pop culture know-hows, I guess.
Yeah. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I love that about you. And you're right. It's not a red flag necessarily. And it's, I guess
it's not a green flag to be like, I spend all my time on the internet. Like I spend all my time on TikTok.
And
like,
the other thing I want to say, sorry, I'm like, again, justifying this, is you're also very well informed on news. So it's not just like the pop culture, like I was saying, or like trends and like you're saying memes. It's literally anything. You're like, oh yeah, I saw that. Oh yeah, I read about that. It's like, wow, that's so impressive to me.
Yeah. My biggest, like, I guess, struggle with being a human is that there's so much I want to like do and see, and I know like I won't be able to get to it all. Like I won't be able to watch every movie. I won't be able to listen to every album and read every book. And so, I'm like always trying to just take advantage of doing all of the things, where I'm like, do I need to be doing this? And I'm like, I need to be doing a crossword at 8 a.m. because I want to be like learning the meaning of words, and like, I don't know. It's like, do I need to watch this many movies? Probably not, but I'm like, there's so many movies out there. I want to watch them all. So it's a struggle I have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think my first beige flag, this is one that actually my sister shared with me when we were talking about our own beige flag. So my take on it is I talk to myself a lot, and that includes talking to myself out loud when I'm home by myself. And I feel like it's weird. I do it so much that I don't even realize, especially living on my own now. Now I have a cat where I can pull it off as like, I'm just talking to my cat. But before I even had a cat, I just was talking to myself all the time and out loud, which I feel is kind of maybe a red flag, a weird thing. But my sisters pointed out that because I talk nonstop, even when other people are around, I'm still talking to myself out loud. My sister was like, sometimes you even talk to yourself or out loud in a British accent for some specific words. You won't say a whole sentence in a British accent. It'll just be like one word in a British accent. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I don't even like know that I'm doing this. And she's like, it's not good. It's not bad. It's just kind of like a quirky thing you do that when you do it, I'm not surprised. But I had no idea that's what I do. So I almost feel like the British accent thing. This is so stupid, but I feel like that's only when other people are around, because I'm like, I swear I talk to myself so much. I swear it's not in a British accent, but who knows? Maybe it is. I should get like cat cameras just to video myself in my own house and watch it back and be like, okay, am I a crazy bitch or what? Yeah.
That's funny. Just wait till you get in a relationship. Then you just start speaking in like Tyrell and I speak in Harry Potter quotes. And then I forget that like when other people are there, I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably weird to.
Yeah. Honestly, that better be my relationship. Because if he's like, girl, shut up, I'll be like, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
I talk nonstop. If you're listening or not, I'm talking.
Yeah. That's why you have a podcast. Get it out of your system.
Yeah.
So funny. I think my next beige flag is I am a fast reader, but I'm a fast reader because sometimes I just skip descriptions to just get to people's dialogue. And then I'll be like, wait, what the hell's going on? Because I'm literally only reading the words the characters are saying to each other. But then people are like, you're such a fast reader. You read so many books. And I'm like, yeah, because I only read like half.
So sneaky.
Yeah. It's not on purpose. Like, I just get excited that I'm like, what's happening next? And then,
Yeah.
So.
If it's like a good dialogue heavy chapter, I'll do the same where I like skim the paragraphs in between, but just read the dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah.
My next beige flag, and again, I'm like, this is maybe more of a red flag. I don't know. I rewatch the same shows and movies over and over and over again rather than watching something new. So I'm a chronic Friends watcher. I think you guys probably know that about me if you listen to this podcast all the time. If you're a new listener, hi, my name is Sadie and I've seen Friends I don't know how many times. I'm one of those like could school you at Friends trivia type of people. Like I just know it all so well because I just never am not watching it. But I'm this way with Gilmore Girls, Gossip Girl, now Sex in the City. Like I just have my comfort shows and I'm like, why watch something new when I know for certain my comfort shows are going to give me exactly what I need. So I don't know. That's maybe a red flag. But to me, I'm like, it's not a bad thing because I'm never opposed to watching new things with other people. I just won't choose to start a new show on my own.
Yeah. I feel like there's, lots of people who are like that, especially with like The Office, The Simpsons, and things like that.
Classics, right?
Yeah. Especially like for background noise. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
Thanks.
My next beige flag is I have 2 film degrees, but I will still go on my phone when watching a movie at home, which I feel like I'm not bothered by, but if I'm watching a movie with other people, sometimes they'll be like, oh, you'll go on your phone whenever? And I'm like, yeah, I will. So,
And?
yeah.
Have something to say about that?
Yeah.
Interesting. I love how you started that with, and I'm a film person, guys, and I still do this. Yeah.
Yeah. I spent years watching movies. I won't do it in movie theaters because obviously that's so rude. And like when I was studying them in school, I wouldn't do it. And and I feel like this is why I like watching movies at movie theaters because it's like, okay, no, I'm not on my phone. But when I'm home, it's free range.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I think my last beige flag is that I live by my agenda. And this started as a red flag where I was very not flexible. So it was like I had a plan for my week. I had a plan for my meals. I had a plan for everything. And if there was a change to the plan, I was resistant to it. I hated it. I got anxious. I refused to change the plan. Where I'm not like that anymore, which is a good thing. I think the pandemic had something to do with that, where it's like, oh, I guess I really can't control everything. Might as well stop trying. But I still do plan out everything. Like even this trip we're going on that we're talking about, like we have a loose itinerary that we're going to follow for every day. We have like a list of restaurants and coffee shops we want to go to. So I'm like, I like having a plan. I plan out my weeks. I plan out my meals. However, I'm still like, especially with my weekly planning, even the trip itinerary example, we plan enough that there's never going to be a dull moment or we're like twiddling our thumbs, not sure what to do. But we also leave like open space to like move things around within the plan.
Yeah.
So that's something I take to my weekly planning where it's like, you know, I plan out which nights I want to do a workout versus which nights I want to socialize. But if a friend says like, hey, Sadie, want to hang out Tuesday night? And I'm like, oh, I have a workout class. Like, I'll just move that to a different night. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's maybe green flag to be like organized, time management, red flag to potentially not be spontaneous or be flexible. But I feel like I've worked out a good balance where now it's beige flag, a little bit of both.
Yeah. I love that. I just had 2 more. One is I love to type in lowercase, especially over text. And also while texting, I'm like a sending multiple texts kind of person, which I know some people hate, but it's the way I roll. You're going to get like 5 texts in a row and they're all going to be lowercase from me. And my last one is that I dip my French fries in mayonnaise.
Yeah. I like low-key love that.
Yeah. I was telling my husband
pretty
the
fire.
list and he was like, that's not really like any kind of flag. I was like, yeah, that's why it's a beige flag.
Beige.
Because I'm like, it's not bad, but like it is kind of weird and probably like not the healthiest choice, but I love it.
Yeah.
Especially Wendy's mayo, not the packet, the sandwich mayo that comes out of the giant thing. So
Whoa,
I have to
this is
go and
specific.
be like, can I get mayo in a little cup that you scoop to put on the sandwiches? Put it in a little cup for me because I'm not using the packets because it's not as good.
Wow. Okay, that maybe
Yeah.
turns into a red flag when you get that specific with it.
I only ask at the Wendy's I worked at. I don't put
Okay, that's
regular
fair.
Wendy's employees through that, but yeah.
Okay, that's very fair.
Yeah.
Wow. There we go. That definitely is a little quirk.
Mhm.
All our little quirks. We
Yeah.
range like from the deep stuff to the silly stuff that doesn't matter to the stuff that, yeah, I didn't even know about you. Maybe you learned something about me. Wow.
Mhm.
All the bases. Great.
Great.
Well, that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for kicking off season 5 with us. We had a blast. We hope you did too. Like we said at the top of this episode, we are changing to bi-weekly episodes, which means we will not be here next week, but we will be here the week after that. And we are going to be talking all about how to be sexy. We're going to be
Woohoo.
leaning into Valentine's Day, but also just self-empowerment, self-love, that sort of thing. So make sure you come back in 2 weeks' time to listen to that episode. In the meantime, you can find us on social media. We are at Our Golden 20s. That's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We have Pinterest boards. Why do I keep saying that? We're on Pinterest. We have Spotify playlist. And like we mentioned earlier, we are on Patreon, which is the best way to support the podcast. For as little as $2 a month, you get access to all of our episodes early, as well as completely ad-free, as well as access to some bonus content, including bonus episodes. All of that being said, that is everything we have for you today. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.